Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Harold Campos and I have the pleasure to announce the general availability of the new XML Operations, XML Parse and Compose in Azure Logic Apps. Well, first of all, let me start saying that Logic Apps loves XML, the same manner as I see it does with to JSON, right? And as such, we decided to include some time ago the Compose XML with a schema and Parse XML with a schema actions in XML operations on top of the Transform XML and Validate XML that have been available for some time already in the product. So this is ideal for scenarios such as customers that are migrating from BizTalk server today, customers using our Swift connectors, customers using the Logic Apps rules engine, or customers using EDI capabilities in Logic Apps. And of course, any customers running any XML-based workloads. The new actions for XML operations, they allow to parse and encode or compose XML documents, such as the users may interact with the token picker at design time. So it gives the flexibility and the ability for customers to continue using these great design that the team has put together in a visual manner. These tokens are generated from the XML schema provided by the user, by the customer. And with this, XML and JSON are natively supported now in Logic Apps. So then you can see in the parse XML with the schema, you have the content, the schema source, the schema name, and a number of advanced parameters. And in Compose XML with the schema, you have the schema source, which can be Logic App or integration account, and the schema name, and advanced parameters as well, which we will be reviewing very soon. The parse XML with the schema uses a source of the XSD schema and its name. This schema can be uploaded to the Logic App per se, to the schemas directory or an integration account. DTD processing is prohibited by default, but can be overwritten. XML is normalized by default, but normalization can be disabled. XML attributes it as an option. Ignore them to streamline the output JSON or include them for relevant information. So I think what you would like to see here is that you have we have been well, first of all, we follow the specs literally as they are, right? So then that's the reason why we incorporated a number of properties for you to customize the way how you want the XML to be parsed or composed. We will see that in a bit as well in the compose. So for the compose, well, staying a bit on the parse as well, there is the great benefit is that you will be able to use these all of these values in the token picker, as you can see here, right? For instance, in this case, the schema expense report, right? You have all of the information available, so that you can customize it. You can determine how is it that you will be entering information and map it to other fields and to the output of other connectors. So in a visual manner. Now for the Compose XML with the schema, it's also similar, right? So you have, it requires the source, Logic App or integration account, the name of the XSD schema, and the JSON root elements of your input XML schema. Clearly, it will use your existing XML schemas from past projects or other integration components without the need for dedicated single top level element schema. In this case, I'm storing this schema that's called BAPI bank account get detail in the Logic App inside the Logic App, right? And you will see that it has automatically recognized all of these values: account, bank key, country, language, and one key thing here is that there is a very important property among the many important properties that we have is the root node qualified name. For those schemas with multiple root nodes, then you have to pick one. You have to pick one, right? And which is the one that will be used to be rendered for you to render the content. Some recommendations or learnings from the public preview. I will be showing some of them in the portal in a bit, but I wanted to make sure that they are documented. Handling array inputs in XML. There is an option to switch to array input mode when you want to map arrays. By default, the designer expects individual array items for XML elements with max occurs bigger than one. If you want to assign an entire array token, instead of doing one by one of the elements of the array, then you can use the array input mode icon in the designer. I'll show you this in a bit. This avoids unnecessary for each loops and streamlines your workflow, because what we do is if the action detects that there is an array, the designer will automatically create a for each loop, and in some cases it's convenient, but in some others it's not, right? So then if you just want to pass an array of information, then we advise you to use the switch to array input mode in the designer. Managing non-UTF-8 encoded XML, we advise you to leverage the encoding parameter in the XML Compose. There is an encoding parameter that you can customize. Customers can specify the desired character encoding, for instance, ISO 2022 JP for Japanese. This controls both the .NET XML writer settings and the output encoding, allowing for broader internationalization support. Example configuration, use the XML writer settings property to set encoding as needed. Safe transport for binary and non-UTF-8 content. We provide a content envelope in our actions. The XML Compose action outputs content in a safe envelope, enabling transport of binary and non-UTF-8 content within the UTF-8 JSON payload. Downstream actions, for instance, the HTTP request, can consume this envelope directly. In fact, we recommend it this to be done in this manner. Content type header management, XML Compose now specifies the exact character set in the content type header. This ensures downstream systems to receive the correct encoding information. For example, application XML charset equals ISO -2022-JP, which will be set for Japanese encoded XML. And the next one is related to the previous slide, right? Consuming XML output in HTTP actions. Reference the XML output property directly in HTTP actions. The envelope's content type is promoted to the HTTP header, and the base64 encoded content is decoded and sent as the raw HTTP body. This preserves encoding and binary fidelity. There are, it's interesting what happens with XML, because the more we work with different customers, the more we realize that there are some software that is there are systems that are very lax in managing XML and not following the specs as they are written. So then make sure that you consult our official docs for advanced scenarios. Support non-Unicode character encoding in Azure Logic Apps, content type and content encoding for clarifying header usage. Do not confuse content type with content encoding. Content type specifies the character set encoding, for instance, UTF-8, ISO 2022 JP, while content encoding refers to compression, for instance, gzip. It's important that if you find an edge case, let us know. Of course, you can add a comment in this video or in the blog entry that we are publishing as well. But let us know about your scenarios, because we are looking for hearing, how is it that you are using our connector. So you don't have to do this manually. You don't have to do this via code. Use our connector. Use our new operations. They are we manage the complexity, so you don't have to. So you can focus on the solution per se and adding AI and everything. Now let me show you a little bit about this connector. It's somewhere here. Yeah, it's here. So we have here my Logic app, right, with a few workflows. And then I'm going, you create your Logic app. If you are not familiar with Logic app, you go create here, and then you pick the type of workflow that you want: autonomous agents and conversational agents for AI workloads, stateful or stateless. I like stateful, it preserves a state. So then I have this one that is called DevXML. And then what I do is I typically start with you always start with trigger, but I typically start with this trigger when an HTTP request is received, and then you have I added the parse XML with a schema, and then I have a list of schemas here, right, that I have uploaded. Let me go back and show you where I uploaded the schemas. So if I go here to the artifact section and the schemas directory, you will see that I have a bunch of schemas here. I tested most of them, I think, right? So then that's why I know that it works and we cover as many scenarios as possible. And when I go here to the dev XML, I pick this So now let me quickly show you how this works. In this workflow, I have a trigger, an HTTP trigger, a request trigger. I have a parse XML with a schema, and I have a compose XML with a schema as well. So what I'm going to do now is, let me make sure that I discard the changes that I was doing while testing, right, is for the parse XML with a schema, I'm using this schema name, expense report schema. I'm leaving all of these properties untouched in the interest of time, and then I have the compose XML with schema where I am using another schema, but it's being pre-populated with information coming from the previous action, which is the parse XML with schema. So then when I do run with payload and I select here XML, so let's see if I still have the document. Yes, I have this document here. I do run, and then you will see, well, I have the response that is coming from the response action here, of course, right? And it passed some information. But let me show you. Let's dissect what happened in this execution. So let me go to run history, right? And then let's go one by one to the action. So you have the trigger. The trigger received the information. It was sent to the parse. This is the content, the XML content that was sent, right? And then all of these properties that I left untouched, and the output is the body of the JSON data. Now from XML, it was parsed and it successfully created a JSON document. And now what I'm doing is I'm doing the opposite work, right? With the compose XML with the schema, I'm retrieving the information that is coming from the parse XML with the schema, which is exactly the input that I had, right? Because I just selected a few values of it, right? I didn't select the entire document, right? So then in this case, in the compose XML with the schema, I just read for properties, I think, from the previous document. Right, exactly here, John Doe 01397 and this date, right? So but there is something interesting that happened, right? So when the compose took the schema, it tried to be compliant with it, right? And it applied it to the values that I have submitted from the previous action, and you will see that there are some body validation event message, right? And severity, right? The amount element is invalid, so you will get bubble this up in the execution, right? So the action has not failed because it has report back, the findings based on the specs, right? So then you will have the body validation event exception, body validation event, and all of this information is available for you to operate, right? And the properties and the status. So what I recommend you to do is I recommend you to go and test all of these actions with your own schemas. And test all of the properties and let us know. Let us know if you like it, if you don't, if there is anything else that we should be adding to the parse or to the compose. But we really hope that you have that you have a chance to test it, right? To do as much as you can with both actions. And thank you again for your time. One last thing before is check out all of the extended properties that we have, the advanced properties that we have here available for you, right? So then you can customize the parse and compose tailor it to your scenario. So finally, thank you so much, and I invite you to follow me on X or add me in LinkedIn or watch and subscribe in my YouTube channel as well. Thank you so much for your time.